Jesus Christ.
Who's installing cages after the nuclear war?
She's got a meat hook through her.
Slavers, I guess.
Got me. Oh, dang.
Sweetheart, are you okay?
We gotta
I don't think
Oh.
she's okay.
She has a
No,
hook
he
in
is.
her chest. Of course she's not okay.
Threw it away. We found some bandages in.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Holy shit.
Oh my god, she fucking died anyway.
I tried to yank her off. What the hell did I do?
It's fucking stupid.
Okay, just for the record, the hook went through her chest and curved upward, back towards her.
At one
Yeah,
point
that
in
would have like
medicine.
literally hit like vital, just artery. That would have been like her. Fucking
I'm
heart.
trying to figure out how they would get her on.
I was going to cover the War Trash mod, like, ages ago. When was that last War Trash video again? I kept putting it off because I was too busy working on my own mods, and War Trash 2 covered some delicate subject matter that I really wanted to be respectful about. Also, I'm just really lazy sometimes. Then I discovered that the mod author had taken down not only just this mod, but every mod they had ever made from the Nexus. And that's when I started to debate to myself whether or not I should even cover this mod at all. Honestly, I was kind of worried that maybe the mod author took the mods down because of my video. If that's the case, then wow, I feel kind of shitty. I know what I titled the War Trash 1 video. When I make titles about mods like Worst Mod of All Time, it's usually in reference to how people in the community talk about the mod in question. Not because I actually think War Trash is the worst mod ever. Because it isn't. Sure, War Trash had some issues. But in the end, I felt that it was pretty clear that I didn't really see the mod as bad. I tried to be fair and give it props where I thought it was due. And of course, I tried to be funny because, hey, I like to think I'm a funny guy. I mean, I'd like to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I am. Last thing that I want to see is people giving up on their pursuits because of anything that I say. And I'm not just talking about the author here, but anyone that ventures into making a mod or even a game. It's hard work. And there's nothing sadder than watching someone's passion die because of things that people say on the internet. It's hard for a creator out there. Sometimes critics can be relentless or seem jaded or unfair. That can lead so many people down this dark road where they think that no matter what they make, it just won't be good enough. I know I've been to that place before. I've read some negative comments about mods I've made through forums, through Discord, even the pages of the mod itself. And yeah, it hurts. You can spend all this time working on a project only to see it be forgotten or to be made a mockery of. You can't let that stuff get to you. This is real life, and these things happen. The best thing you can do is build off of that and make sure that your next project is even better. Or do your best to fix what's broken. But hey, everyone handles things differently, and everyone has different priorities. Sometimes you just have to find out what works for you. So I was just dead set on giving up on this video. But I left it up to a poll anyway, and we got over 95% of the 119 people that voted saying I should still cover it. This video is going to be less of a review, and more of a reminder of the mod that once existed. And trust me when I say there are plenty of things within this mod that I can point to as a must-do and a mustn't-do. You know, in my opinion anyway. Now, if you're one of those people that watches the sequel video first, you are a strange and bizarre person to me, and I demand you tell me all your life secrets. But more importantly, I'd also demand that you stop being so weird and watch the first video. Since this mod is a sequel, I'm going to be referring to its predecessor quite a lot, so you might not know what I'm talking about if you don't watch it. Okay? We got that? We're good? Awesome. Let's continue. War Trash 2. Do We Not Bleed? Released December 5th of 2014, the same year as War Trash 1, just only a few months apart. According to the description, this mod story will be focused on going after a sex trafficker with Edmund and Brooklyn from the first mod. we're promised an adventure with a huge cast of characters and uncovering secrets about the NCR. This mod features 1,082 lines of fully voiced dialogue, 6 main quests with about 3 hours of gameplay. There's also a ton of voiced holotapes as well as written notes scattered throughout new locations. As with War Trash 1, you have a lot of choices to make in terms of gameplay and how you interact with the characters. We got a little teaser of this in the last mod with the optional side quest that we can do with a Metal Gear Solid tier after credits voiceover. When I read some of the promises, I was interested on how this mod would improve on the last one. And we'll get to that. Starting the mod, you'll get a radio message from Graham Edmund. It's been 10 months since the events of War Trash 1, and he's hot on the trail of an infamous sex slaver known as Hale. Unable to get the NCR to go after this guy, he's decided to go against orders and pursue him himself. Unfortunately, he's got himself into quite a predicament, as his radio message is a cry for help. So after receiving the message from our old friend, I followed the instructions from Edmund and headed down the road from Brooks' Tumbleweed Ranch to reach a brand new location. This new location is a slave refugee settlement and... oh boy. Yeah, so this town isn't supposed to be floating, but it was for me. This is a good time to bring up compatibility. Ironically, by looking at the compatibility tab, this mod is incompatible with War Trash 1, or at least early versions of it. It's also incompatible with New Vegas Bounties 2, which, well, yeah, that's really not a good mod to conflict with. Never conflict with a highly endorsed quest mod, especially one that's considered to be one of the best in the community. You really just can't plan for conflicts because almost every quest mod is gonna conflict in some way or another. There's way too many to avoid this now these days. At the very least though, you can make sure your stuff doesn't conflict with major quest mods like Some Guys mods or even the Overseers mods, as it's a hard task to ask people to pick and choose between your mod and something immensely popular like those mods. In this particular instance, I didn't have War Trash 1 or New Vegas Bounties 1 installed. To my knowledge, I had nothing that interfered with that area. So, I have no idea what caused this. This is not the mod author's fault, this is my fault. You never know what mods are going to play nice with each other. We managed to rescue Edmund from the slavers. And he's more than thankful to us. He refreshes our memory about who Hale is and wants us to try and convince an NCR general that they need to shift their priorities to this guy. Why me, you may ask? Well, in case you forgot, I'm the saver of the Mojave, of course. Oh God, not that trope again. A lot of mods are really guilty of this. Hell, even me in earlier mods of mine. But as I stated before, I hate this. I haven't quite earned the hero god reputation you've bestowed upon me, dude. Why are you asking me to do this? Regardless, we head over to Camp McCarran and into totally not Ambassador Crocker's office to meet with the NCR General.
Dude, what a nice fade.
Yeah, actually, that bro's actually lined up. Goddamn.
Oh, I believe the correct term is, I like your cut, G.
Obviously, he's not really willing to listen to a complete stranger, and hey, I don't blame him. Edmund chews me out because I decided to be really nonchalant about the whole thing, and from here, we head over to investigate Hale ourselves and check out a place Hale is suspected of operating from, an abandoned toy factory near Westside, apparently run by the same guys that ran the Ashen Brewing Company from the last mod. And I'll give them this, the terminal entries that they put in for the factories did give me a bit of a chuckle. That's the kind of flavor that I enjoy. Also, I love the fact that the factory needs molten metal to make their toys. That's pretty hardcore, man.
They're turning teddy bears into steel.
Oh my God.
So we head into the basement of this factory, and it looks like the slavers left long before we got there. And we find a note and hand it to Edmund. Looks like Hale knew we were coming.
Which one of you called him Van Darkholm? Because now I can't unsee it.
He invites us to an obvious trap near Cottonwood Cove, to which we willingly enter. However, when we arrive there, we discover that someone else had fallen into the trap meant for us. That's when we are reunited with Brooklyn and her new team of armed mercenaries. And man, a lot has happened in these past 10 months. Apparently, she runs her own mercenary outfit now with her 2 employees, Anders and Knowles, and she has the same goals as us in tracking down this sex guy, Hale. So naturally, we team up with her and head to a slaver auction being held near the NCR sharecroppers farm. Now, despite the fact that this sharecropper farm located slaver auction's a bit, awkward in its location, the slave auction sequence that precedes is a really interesting scripted sequence. While Brooklyn goes upstairs and tortures the owner, you have the option to try and rescue the slaves being auctioned off. It's a cool cinematic set piece, but unfortunately, there are only 2 outcomes. You either let the slaves be purchased by a totally not zombie from War Trash 1,
Oh, that's too bad. Maybe me and the boys here could swing by and we'll play pin the tail on the donkey.
or you buy them, and an angry customer attacks you, resulting in the death of the slaves. I tried to rescue the slaves in other ways, but that just didn't seem possible. I'm not sure if it's bugged or that's how it was meant to be, but it didn't appear to be programmed in, so hey. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe I'm not, but who knows. Overall, I like the choices available, but there really needed to be more. There's a bit of a theme to this mod, as you'll notice as I continue to describe it, and it really likes to hammer it in. With that done and over with, we head upstairs to see how the torturing has been going for Brooklyn. Here, Brooklyn and Edmund have a little talk, and that's when the mod breaks for me completely. I didn't mention this earlier, but NPCs frequently talk with each other in this mod, and that is a really, really cool feature. It definitely adds to characters when they interact with each other, and not a lot of mods do this. I love this inter-character dichotomy. But you gotta make sure the scripts don't break and completely break the mod. Every time this happens in this mod, it is Russian roulette to whether or not it's actually going to work. Sometimes you can reload and that'll fix it, but for me, this particular sequence broke every time. Even with the latest update, I had to fix it in the GEC manually to proceed. This mod has its fair share of jank, but this, not good. After fixing that little hiccup, we get to torture Boyd. And what could have been an interesting sequence is just dialogue with very little options, which is just kind of disappointing. From Boyd, we learn about another slaver operation in Fiend territory. We meet up with Brooklyn's goons and have a little conversation with Knowles. Anders, he's not really a character, unfortunately. Knowles, however, will make references to other mods that I haven't actually played and ask existential questions as to why we're still in the Mojave. Good question. I could go for a nuclear winter. Yeah, assuming I've played other mods like Beyond Boulder Dome, Dog City Denver, or even the Rockwell Pursuit, that's a bold choice that does not age well. I doubt any new modders are going to know what those are, and even if they do, it's bad practice to talk like the player has already done something when they hadn't. At least these are just mods. It's even worse when they talk about an event that happens in the vanilla game that they haven't done, because you can actually script that to detect whether or not it's happened. This mod opts not to do that, and just assumes that you blew up Vault 19. That gets on my nerves a little bit. It's weird, at least from a roleplay perspective. Anyway, after we were done talking with him, the mod broke again. Everyone ran off to fight fiends, and they just kept coming, so Edmund and Brooklyn never really got to talk to each other like they were supposed to, and just kept running deeper into fiend territory. We made it all the way to Camp McCarran before I was like, okay, we need to reload a save. If you don't trigger Brooklyn's conversation with Knowles before they get distracted by fiends, just reload. After I got that to work, we headed to the slaver bunker that's located in a really interesting place, and eradicated all of Hale's Gooner squad. Goons. Yeah. This time, the slaves are here to be rescued. And alive, too. But one of them in particular is in pretty bad condition.
Got me. Oh, dang.
Sweetheart, are you okay?
We gotta.
I don't think
Oh.
she's okay.
Now, don't ask me how they got that hook in, but yeah, we've got two options here. We can either try and rescue this girl, or we can put her down. Let me spoil it for you. This girl gonna die no matter what you do. Either you put her down, humanely, or Edmund's gonna be a moron and try to rip this hook out of her. Are we supposed to believe that Edmund is competent, or we make it back topside and Anders is dead? Oh no. We get everyone to the rock-crushing plant, and the mod broke again. Fuck! I try to reload a save, and this time the dialogue functions. Again, it's Russian roulette whether or not this is going to work. Really irritating, and is probably going to drive a lot of people off. Either way, whatever. Edmund, Knowles, and Brooklyn all have this nice little talk, and we go over to Brooklyn's new hideout in Boulder City. It's a huge bank that looks like a factory on the inside, then on the outside, it actually looks kind of nice. I think it's a cool location. Honestly, a bit of a missed opportunity. Would have been a perfect hub for this kind of mod, kind of like how the Vault was a hub in the last one. Unfortunately, this one is also lacking in flavor and is just a little too empty. I feel like there's not much to do here. The only thing we actually do here when we're here is to talk to the girls who were enslaved that we rescued and get to know them a little better. One's a mute, and you get yelled at for trying to talk to her. Another one really wants a gun, and one is also, understandably, very standoffish. By talking to the one named Olivia, we get a lead on another slave operation that's under some dude's house in Prim? That'd be okay. That's okay. This next coming sequence takes place in a cave, and it's actually not that bad. There's this clever use of mines in here that makes them hard to see and twice as dangerous, even if you have the light step perk. The mines that they use here perfectly blend in with the cave floor, and there is absolutely no warning for proximity. I kind of like this, it makes it a little bit more dangerous, but I also kind of hate this because these caves are kind of long and I am unobservant as shit. Either way, you find some more slaves that are alive and you manage to free them. First, you gotta talk to the slaver master located near the back of the caves.
Well, the angel of death has arrived at my door.
Angel of Death? That's just too edgy.
Okay. Well, at least they didn't call you Six.
At last, we meet with the leader of this slaver cave, Walter Druis. Instead of attacking us, he and his men decide to beg for their lives, or rather barter for their lives. This is an attempt at a moral decision with the gameplay. We can either kill Druis and not be able to free the slaves, or we can free the slaves and let Druis escape. He gives us access to a couple of keys, and he says he'll tell us which one is the correct key after he escapes. Apparently the wrong one will blow up the slaves. Either way, it was bugged out for me, and Druis didn't actually leave when I let him. So, I killed him. Moral quandary avoided. Also find some crates here, which gives us a clue as to where the big bad Hale is hiding. Or rather, you walk into a trigger box and you get a big giant message explaining everything to you. Also, with the key, there really wasn't much of a choice there either. Or at least that's what it seemed like to me. The choice illusions are really starting to get to me. We make it back to the bank, only to find out that Hale's goons have beaten us to it. Entering the bank, we find that all the slaves we've rescued so far, besides Olivia, have been horribly murdered, along with Knowles. We end up finding a note on Knowles' body to a lover named David. A little backstory for him, but too little too late, Knowles. Sorry, I don't really care. After securing the bank with Edmund, Brooklyn, and surviving slave Olivia, we face through a few rounds of Hale's Gooner gang, and then afterwards, well, another broken cutscene. Alright, let's boot it up again.
Hold on to your butts.
After beating Hale's goon squad again, Brooklyn, Edmund, and Olivia talk about what to do next. Edmund wants to take a boat that Druis allegedly had to Hale's hideout at the Pearson military base. Alternatively, Brooklyn wants to take the ex-slaves to the followers. It's here where we actually have a choice. And it doesn't really matter or change anything. Don't get me wrong, it's nice that the option exists. In my playthrough, I decided to go with Edmund and take the boat, so I didn't really get to see the other option. I wasn't exactly willing to replay it for myself just to see it. However, there does exist plenty of playthrough footage of people going through the Brooklyn route, and let's just say I'm glad I skipped it. It's stupid. If you recall from the last mod, we killed everybody at the Mormon Fort and in Freeside, basically, by poisoning the water and gunning down a bunch of named NPCs. So now the followers are operating at the New Vegas Medical Clinic, and they can't offer medical services for free anymore. When you and Brooklyn are confronted with this information from a follower's doctor, Brooklyn immediately confesses to poisoning Freeside and attacking the followers. It's very frustrating and full of finger-waving for something I had absolutely no control over. But that's too bad because you did a bad thing and you will feel bad about it. You can make amends by giving them a bunch of caps, or you can find them some supplies. Either way, the doctor here is not going to take the slaves unless you do one of these things, and even when you do these things, he's still going to chastise you for something you had absolutely no control over. Meanwhile, if you decided to go with Edmund, like I did, you'll find the boat that'll take you to Hale, but the solar power that powers the boat is completely borked. And the only way to fix it is to get replacement parts from Helios 1. What, you thought there'd be a skill check? Nah, you stupid or something? Go straight to Helios 1. It's here where we'll meet with Niner, Private Blondie, who informs Edmund that he's been suspended from the DAI and the NCR, and everyone starts fighting fire ants, and the mod breaks several times in a row. Yeah, the fire ants aren't really a part of this mod, that's just vanilla ants being a pain. And as a side note, the new gate added to the back of Helios here, I'm pretty sure you can just break the Helios questline by going back here. Anyone willing to test that? Because I am not replaying through all of this nightmare again. So after all that mess and exposition about Edmund being removed from the NCR DAI, we head back to the boat, and still no skill checks. Edmund just fixes the boat and we head off to Pearson Military Base. At least maybe this military base might be an exciting new area, a new world space we can explore, and nope, it's just a factory interior. Man, where have I seen this before? We don't even get to see where the boat was parked. We just get teleported inside this giant warehouse. It's a bit of a boring warehouse, too, that's really poorly lit. We end up fighting through this place in a few hallways until we get to a huge metal door that Hale is allegedly behind. We can't lockpick it, we can't knock it down. Instead, we can only backtrack a few rooms to get some explosives. No new enemies or anything like that, but you will have plenty of banter between Olivia and Brooklyn to listen to.
Are they flirting? What?
What in the world is going on?
I need an adult.
And once you finally make it back to the door, Hale just opens it for you. You don't even get to use the C4, it's just a waste of time. But here, we finally get to confront Hale, and it is the hackiest, cringiest dialogue I have ever heard. I heard enough of this crap, and I just immediately blow off his head, and naturally, because this mod is broken, everyone acts like Olivia did it.
Olivia!
Olivia, why did you do that?
I mean, he was a slaver who sold children.
Yeah, he was very pretentious about being a diddler.
Thanks to these actions that I totally did not do, Hale's Gooner gang gives up, and we head home, straight into the arms of the NCR waiting to arrest us for our crimes of going after slavers. In the attempt to arrest Edmund, we end up murdering the lot of them, and this turns Edmund to the dark side.
Killed some men that needed killing, and we ain't done yet.
So after that attempted arrest, what does the famed NCR agent Graham Edmund decide to do? Well, we walk straight into Camp McCarran, straight into General Kurtz's office, and we blow his head off. And then just waltz right out, killing anyone and everyone in our way. Even if they were innocent, that doesn't matter. Edmund needed his revenge for, I don't know, ignoring slavers? Whatever. I don't think the writer cares, and I don't care either. Edmund definitely doesn't care. And then we get to the end of the mod. Right after we escape, roll credits, the end. Of course, not really. We also get another Metal Gear Solid tier after credits sequence.
Help me. Please help me.
What?
With a little teaser to part 3. Sorry guys, he never actually made a part 3. Unless you want to consider the NCR campaign of the Frontier to be part 3. I mean, I don't, but you could.
Oh, it was just a nightmare, that's all.
Who were you killing in it?
Boyd.
Did you enjoy it?
I don't know.
Are you gonna be okay?
You wanna crawl in here and make me okay?
Ooh, tempting. But I'll pass. We got a long day ahead of us, so get back to bed.
Okay, Mom.
What?
So that was War Trash 2, and boy oh boy, where do I begin with this mod? For an RPG, this mod offers very little role-playing. I feel that the mod doubled down on the worst aspects of the first one. Player interaction, for example, is a definite step down. A large portion of this mod is waiting around for other NPCs to talk, or having NPCs talk at you. Even worse, there are many moments where the game speaks for you and inputs things that your character says in between lines of NPC dialogue. These are lines that you do not choose. That kind of confused me at first, and honestly, when I figured it out later, it just came off as lame. When you do have dialogue choices, they're not really choices, it's just a singular option, you just pick. So, yeah, not really much of a choice at all. As for narrative decisions and choices, this mod thrives with the illusion of choice. If the mod author wants you to fail and feel bad, you're gonna fail and feel bad. The slave auction, for example, only ends with the slaves dying or being sold. The slave with a meat hook through her will always die. Anders, Knowles, and many other slaves you rescue will always die. When there are decisions that change things, it's basically like choosing cutscenes. There's no real impact. Nothing really happens besides maybe a little bit of exposition, but we're never really given a reason to care about any of this. So in short, your character choices don't matter, if you even have a choice to begin with. To add insult to injury, there's not really much gameplay in this game. There's maybe 1 or 2 dungeons that are just very generic and honestly kind of boring. Almost all of them are boring factories with the basic factory tile set, or they're just straight up copied cells. And when they aren't, they're just really strange rooms. The only one I kind of liked was the caves in Prim, purely for its gameplay aesthetic of hiding the mines cleverly within the cave tile set, but it did lack a lot of lighting, didn't really make a lot of sense geographically, and it was kind of a maze. And as I've established before, I am not a Minotaur, I do not belong in a maze. One thing that is urgently missing in this mod is skill checks. My character has absolutely no skill whatsoever in this story. No speech checks, no repair checks, no luck, karma, charisma, nothing. There were so many chances to employ this, but the mod just opts to not. And then there's the story. I've established before that I don't consider myself a good writer, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that could say the same. That being said, I rest easy saying that this mod is not really well written. I think the only instance where the writing shines is when characters are bantering with each other. Nothing wrong with good banter, I just wish it was in a good story with characters that were more compelling.
I am the courier of no name. Hester at your service.
Sorry. I'm a dick sometimes.
The story itself just feels like it was written by an edgy teenager who wanted to write something deep. And this is no better exemplified with how this mod touches on SA. I don't really like talking about serious issues on this channel, very serious topics, but this mod heavily covers it. It's briefly mentioned in the first mod. This mod just revolves around it, and I don't think it's handled very well at all. I generally try to avoid talking about subjects like this in videos and mods, And I think that if you're going to write about a serious subject like this, you need to write it well. Handling it poorly is going to do more harm than good. Additionally, another thing that this mod really revolves around is hero worship. And what I mean by this is a lot of, the one and only courier! Oh, come on down, it's the courier! He's the best, he can do no wrong, he's our hero. And also, he's the bad guy, you did a bad thing, don't you feel bad yet? You're bad, you're evil, you murder children.
You eat babies.
I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Congratulate me for the things that I did. Yell at me for the things that were my fault that could have been avoided. Don't force me to do horrible things and then yell at me for doing those horrible things. That's just kind of irritating.
We eat berries and mushrooms, you fool!
I didn't want to murder those people in Freeside. You made me do it for your stupid ass mod, okay? Shut the fuck up. As for the characters, Edmund's an idiot. Maybe he was in the last mod too, but here it's more evident since you spend a lot more time with him. I mean, come on, ripping a meat hook out of a woman and letting her bleed to death? Were we supposed to believe that he was in any way, shape, or form competent after that? Honestly, maybe that's why he's in the DAI. They made some stupid agency just to get rid of him and put him someplace because they know he's fucking useless. You know, I imagine that would be something the NCR would do, you know, if Edmund turned out to be like the son of somebody important. But that doesn't really seem to be established, so... Hey, there's some lore for you, writers, you know, if you want to continue this story. Either way, though, he becomes a complete edgelord after this, and that's when he becomes just completely and utterly laughable. It is just so edgy, I can't take it seriously. As for other notable characters, there's Brooklyn, who is... I mean, she's here. And the other characters in this mod are just really forgettable. Even the main villain, which is kind of a sin in on itself. You get some notes and some background info on the guy, but he's a real hands-off villain. It's not like you feel his presence throughout the mod, he's just kind of a name that floats around. You don't really get a real feel for who this guy is. At least I didn't. And when you finally meet him, his dialogue's just kind of boring and honestly a little cringy. I'd say the climax where you face him isn't really a good payoff, but there wasn't really too much build-up to it anyway, so I guess not much was lost. And the other characters, Knowles, Anders, Olivia, I really couldn't tell you much about them. They're just kind of there, and that's a shame. Unfortunately, though, the biggest problem with this mod is the fact that it is just completely and utterly broken. I never had to start and restart a mod so many times than I did with War Trash 2. Nor did I ever have to open up the GEC mid-stream to fiddle with the code. Playing with this mod is like rolling dice, as the cutscenes can unpredictably break, leaving the mod in an almost unplayable state. While it won't force you to break your save game by murdering vanilla characters, this mod might actually break your sanity. I know it did with mine, many eons ago. It's not all negative, though. I do think that the voice acting is still great. Real solid all the way around, and a big hand to all the voice actors involved. I think you guys did great with what you had. And, yeah, honestly, I think that's the only positive I have to say about this mod. For improvements, I think I have a few ideas as to what could really make this mod shine. There are plenty of set pieces here that could really work if they were more polished. The slave auction is a prime example for expansion. Instead of having the set piece work with no way to save the slaves, we can add several methods to save the slaves, and allow for several chances for the player to mess it up and have the slavers kill the slaves. That would work so much better, instead of what we got. For scenes like the torturing of the slaver, or fixing the boat, skill checks. Add skill checks. The torture scene could be really interesting if there was more player involvement with like what tools to use, what perks to use. Maybe you don't have to torture him at all. Maybe you could just intimidate him with terrifying presence or a high speech skill or having high strength. Or maybe even having done some things in the vanilla game, you can detect those with variables. It's not entirely too difficult. And maybe additionally we can avoid going to Helios 1 by using skill checks to fix the boat. I also think this mod would improve greatly if the climax was fixed. I'm thinking huge military base with an exterior where you have to actually infiltrate. Have some interaction with Hale over the intercom as you're breaking into this base. Or hell, even sneaking in. That would be interesting. We can have a face-to-face with Hale, get to meet the guy before we actually face off with him. But honestly though, I think I would just be happy with an exterior. And on top of that, I think a lot of the other dungeons could be improved. I thought the one in Outer Vegas was exceptionally lame. That one could really be improved with mainly just all of it being made in interior. Like an actual combat dungeon interior with many different rooms. Instead of one giant room and one giant monolith outside. That was that huge bunker that they put like right outside of Outer Vegas is a huge eyesore. As for the story though, I mean there's not much advice that I could give for that. I mean it doesn't really hook me, so I can't really offer much to fix. Honestly, I'm not really sure what this whole story has to do with War Trash 1 to begin with. But first of all, it's not really about War Trash anymore, it just has characters from that mod. Honestly, this mod should have been about the War Trash sleeper cells we hear about in the first mod. The story here feels like it should have been more of a spin-off mod. This mod was overall not a fun experience for me. Personally, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. The gameplay was a slog, and I never wanted to stop playing New Vegas as badly as I did when I was playing through this mod. For the time when this mod came out, it was considered pretty good. And back in the day, I probably would have said the same thing. Standards for quest mods back then weren't where they are today. Nowadays, things have changed. Our geek knowledge and tools have greatly improved, and so have the mods. So it might be unfair for me to judge this one so harshly, especially now that it can no longer be played. My only hope is that other prospective modders see this and see what does work and see what doesn't work. Either way, I'm curious what you guys think. I really want to know. Was I too hard on this mod? Is it better or worse than I think? I'm curious to see how many people enjoyed this one. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.